Thursday of the 10th week in Ordinary Time.
A reading from the first book of Kings. Elijah said to Ahab, "Go up, eat and drink, for there is the sound of a heavy rain." So Ahab went up to eat and drink, while Elijah climbed to the top of Carmel, crouched down to the earth, and put his head between his knees. "Climb up and look out to sea," he directed his servant, who went up and looked, but reported, "There is nothing." 7 times he said, "Go, look again." And the 7th time the youth reported, "There is a cloud, as small as a man's hand, rising from the sea." Elijah said, "Go and say to Ahab, 'Harness up and leave the mountain before the rain stops you.'" In a trice the sky grew dark with clouds and wind, and a heavy rain fell. Ahab mounted his chariot and made for Jezreel. But the hand of the Lord was on Elijah, who girded up his clothing and ran before Ahab, as far as the approaches to Jezreel. The word of the Lord.
The responsorial psalm. The response is, "It is right to praise you in Zion, O God. You have visited the land and watered it. Greatly have you enriched it. God's watercourses are filled. You have prepared the grain. It is right to praise you in Zion, O God. Thus have you prepared the land, drenching its furrows, breaking up its clods, softening it with showers, blessing its yield. It is right to praise you in Zion, O God. You have crowned the year with your bounty, and your paths overflow with a rich harvest. The untilled meadows overflow with it, and rejoicing clothes the hills. It is right to praise you in Zion, O God."
A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Matthew. Jesus said to his disciples, "I tell you, unless your righteousness surpasses that of the scribes and Pharisees, you will not enter into the kingdom of heaven. You have heard that it was said to your ancestors, 'You shall not kill, and whoever kills will be liable to judgment.' But I say to you, whoever is angry with his brother will be liable to judgment. And whoever says to his brother, 'Raca,' will be answerable to the Sanhedrin. And whoever says, 'You fool,' will be liable to fiery Gehenna. Therefore, if you bring your gift to the altar, and there recall that your brother has anything against you, leave your gift there at the altar. Go first and be reconciled with your brother, and then come and offer your gift. Settle with your opponent quickly while on the way to court with him. Otherwise, your opponent will hand you over to the judge, and the judge will hand you over to the guard, and you will be thrown into prison. Amen, I say to you, you will not be released until you have paid the last penny." The Gospel of the Lord.
The first reading comes from 1 Kings 18, 41 to 46. Elijah says to the king, "Go up, eat and drink, for I hear the rain coming." Well, they look out to the sea. Rain usually comes from the sea. And they look 7 times, and only at the 7th time do they see a cloud that looks like a hand. Now, in the Hebrew, there's a little grammatical trick that they use, which is called that which is written, that which is spoken. That very often, if something were a little scandalous, even though the word is written, they would pronounce another word in its place. In this case, the cloud looks like a foot. And in the Old Testament, a foot was often a symbol, an allusion to the male sexual member. Remember, this is supposed to represent the fact that Yahweh is the God of fertility, so that would be an obvious sign of fertility. But there's just no way we can read that a cloud looked like that in a daily mass. What is the importance of it? It shows that Yahweh, in fact, is the one who brings fertility to the land. The Gospel is from Matthew 5, 20 to 26. Jesus continues his treatment of the Sermon on the Mount by using a rabbinic technique. The rabbis wanted to build a fence around the law, interpret the law to its widest possible extent, to make sure they weren't breaking the smallest part of the law. Well, Jesus does this, but not in a legalistic, scrupulous way. but rather in a way that shows that he understands the true meaning of the commandments. He uses the example, it says you shall not kill, but I tell you, anyone who calls his brother a fool is subject to the fires of Gehenna. Now remember, Gehenna is a symbolic name. It means the Hinnom Valley, and it was a valley where you would find the temple dump, where there would be coal fires, where there would be fat, dark clouds of smoke coming up, flies. It was a terrible place, so it became a symbol for hell. What Jesus is saying, there's a lot of ways to kill a person. You can kill a person by homicide, but you can also kill a person's hope, a person's reputation. And we should interpret the law in the widest possible way. Again, not being scrupulous, but understanding the true meaning of the law, the true purpose behind it. Now, there's something very important happening here, too. That Jesus is saying the old law says this, but I tell you. Who is it that can give a new law for the new Israel? God alone. Jesus, even though he doesn't say that he's God, he is exercising prerogatives that belong only to God, as he does when he forgives sins. And may God bless us.